This is QTV News. I am Marietu Sidibe and thanks for joining us. First, the main local, business and international news headlines. In local news, as commemoration of the 55th anniversary of independence approaches, we hear about the unique future of the security sector's participation this time around. A new High Court judge and 2 members of the Public Service Commission were sworn in this week. The Insurance Association of the Gambia, with Gambia's central bank, launched the new national harmonized motor vehicle insurance certificate. In business news, we look back on 15 years of YouTube, from humble beginnings to a multi-billion-dollar company, and we hear about 2 sisters who are changing the chocolate market in Ghana. In international news, we hear about the alarming increase in piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. And we also hear how vocational training is helping refugees in Germany. In sports, can Gina Bass back the Gambia's first ever Olympic medal? We hear what a top coach thinks of that. And now, the local news in detail. As the Gambia prepared to celebrate her 55th independence anniversary on the 18th of February, one sector that has intensified its preparations are the men and women in uniform. The security agents drawn from different sister forces are currently at Makati Square in Banjul, where they are being taken through different drills for the forthcoming event. Babakar C has the rest of that story.
The 55th Independence Celebration preparations are well underway, with members of the security forces gathered at the Makati Square in Banjul, preparing to once again wow the gathering as they have done over the years. Army PRO Major Lamin Sanyang described the training as important as it will enable the security officers to be well drilled and prepared for the big day.
It's a way of preparing our men and women in uniform towards the celebrations of the 55th independence anniversary parade of independence that will be on Tuesday next week. So before the D-Day itself, like the day of the independence itself, there are some practices that we perform, in the background. So this is what we are doing right now. So the reason for the venue is because, we hope that it will be celebrated here. But by all indications, so far we can say it will be celebrated here at the Makati Square once again. So that is why to do our, practice and fitting for that celebrations, it was thought imperative that we come and do the rehearsals here. So right now that is what we are embarking on how the parade is going to, look like. From the inception, like when the invited guests are all seated, what are some of the protocols that we will go through.
Major Sanyang disclosed to QTV that the 55th independence anniversary will be unique as the security forces on the march past will be led by a female officer.
This time around for the 55th independence anniversary celebrations, we have put women in the forefront in that the parade commander, will be a lady. A female senior officer of the Gambia Armed Forces. And also, to empower that also, the second in command, or the 2IC to the parade commander, is also a female officer from the Gambia Police Force. And there are other appointments in the parade also that are filled by the women. And also when you look at the parade, the composition of the parade also, it's 50-50. You have an equal number of men and an equal number of female security personnel, so for each of the services. So all the services are represented here. You have the Gambia Armed Forces made of the National Army, the Navy, and the Republican National Guard, with equal number of male and female security personnel. Then for the other services, you have the Ministry of Interior, represented by the police, general duties, paramilitary units, also equal number of male and female. Then you come to the Immigrations Department, also male and female detachments. The fire and rescue services, also male and female detachments, prison services, male and female, Gambia Revenue Authority, also having male and female detachments. So for the parade itself, we have an equal number of male and females. But if you look at the global figure of everybody that is in the parade, we have more female than men.
Major Sanyang said the idea is to encourage women to join the security forces as it is a profession for all. He used the opportunity to call on Gambians to come out on significant numbers on Independence Day to show their appreciations. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
A new High Court judge and 2 members of the Public Service Commission were on Thursday sworn in at the ceremony presided over by President Adama Barrow at the State House in Banjul. Aliu Sise reports.
The new appointees are Justice Zainab Nguyumbu, a High Court judge, and Babukar A. Suare and Musa Osane, members of the Public Service Commission. Suare's latest appointment follows the rejection of his earlier appointment as ombudsman by the National Assembly. The new appointees all took the prescribed oaths of office, allegiance, and secrecy. President Barrow called on the newly sworn-in public officers to be righteous, honest, and trustworthy in the execution of their duties. Their latest appointments, he said, are part of ongoing search for Gambian citizens to contribute towards strengthening of governance structures.
As you take up your appointments, remember that your decisions and actions in the course of execution of your duties will impact on the lives of Gambians who do not have the privilege to be where you are. Thus, I urge you to be righteous, honest, and trustworthy wherever you may be. On behalf of all Gambians, I congratulate you on your appointments, and I thank you for accepting to serve in your various positions.
The Gambian leader is optimistic that the three arms of government will continue to work in harmony for the achievement of the ideals of the Constitution and the successful implementation of the government policies and strategies as spelled out in the National Development Plan.
There is an obvious need for deeper commitment and passion for public officials to serve professionally, without fear or favor. In this way, this national interest will be served best. This calls for setting new targets for our institutions, reviewing our laws and procedures, and continually improving output through positive attitude to work and devoted service to nation.
Their appointments are expected to bring about positive changes in the service delivery of both the High Court and the Public Service Commission. The ceremony was attended by Vice President Dr. Isaac Toure, Cabinet Ministers, and the Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
The Insurance Association of the Gambia, in conjunction with the Central Bank of the Gambia on Thursday, launched the new National Harmonized Motor Vehicle Insurance Certificate. Ahmad Oba attended the event and he filed in this report.
With a vision to be an efficient and effective insurance industry serving customers' needs and contributing to national development, the Insurance Association of the Gambia, IAG, and partners converged at the West African Insurance Institute Conference Hall in Kotu to launch the new standardized motor vehicle insurance certificate. In his opening remarks, Makaire Bajan, president of the Insurance Association of the Gambia, says after a series of consultations with association members, they unanimously resolved to harmonize the certificate sheet, security features to mitigate the prevailing forgery of insurance documents by unscrupulous individuals. The initiative, he says, comes with a huge investment from motor underwriting companies, as whilst they pay for the certificates, there is no charge to the customers.
Motor insurance certificates are required by law as evidence of a valid motor insurance cover as prescribed by the Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act of 1948, which is geared towards the protection of road users. Every vehicle owner and driver should ensure that they have a valid insurance cover.
Mr. Bajan further urged stakeholders, particularly the police entrusted with the Road Traffic Act and the Gambia Revenue Authority, to support this initiative and reassures IAG's commitment to further foster cooperation of members towards realization of a more vibrant and reputable insurance industry in the Gambia. Speaking on behalf of the IGP, Abdullahi Sanyang, Deputy Commissioner, says the initiative is very timely as it follows the Gambia Police Force introduction of the aluminium number plates, which has advanced security features that will guard against fraud and tax evasion.
I will use this opportunity to call on all vehicles, all the owners of vehicles to subscribe as soon as possible. Your subscription is a worthy investment in the general security of the country. On my part, I wish to assure the Insurance Association of the Gambia that we will enforce the law accordingly to ensure motorists are compliant.
Dr. Sekou Jabi, first Deputy Governor, Central Bank of the Gambia, says the central bank has on few occasions received complaints of fake insurance certificates by unscrupulous persons, and for insurers to now issue a highly secured certificate together with a brown card to all motor vehicles will greatly mitigate the risk of fake insurance being exploited.
Mr. President, CEOs of insurance companies, while I assure you of the Central Bank's full support on this motor insurance project, I wish to urge that this initiative be further explored to include standardized certificates on other classes of insurance prone to forgeries. I once again urge the Insurance Association of the Gambia to consider digitalizing the system.
The launching also featured a presentation demo on the newly standardized motor vehicle insurance certificate. The new certificate has been issued effective 20th of January 2020. The new insurance certificate will have features such as a high-quality paper printed in multiple colors with no white margins as in other paper sheets, a dual serialized number print, one visible and the other visible only with the use of an ultraviolet light, the IAG logo inscription that can only be visible with the use of an ultraviolet light, and a hologram of IAG logo. For QTV News, I am Amadou Oba.
The Christian Relief Services on Tuesday handed over a donation of medical items, a vehicle, mosquito traps and repellents to the Ministry of Health. QTV's Ansumana Isonyasi reports.
Receiving the donation, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadou Lamin Samate, says the Ministry of Health is grateful to CRS for what he calls a life-changing intervention. He says patient escorts as well as medical personnel, especially those on the night shift at hospitals across the country, have long faced the risk of contracting malaria resulting from exposure to mosquitoes.
These equipment that we are taking delivery of today are very, very crucial. We had seen over the years how the patients and the staff in the hospitals and the relatives of the patient suffer when it comes to mosquito bites. Patients go to the hospitals to get treated for one ailment or the other, but within that period they are being bitten by mosquitoes, even exposing them to the risk of developing malaria.
With the donation of 1,400 mosquito traps and 400 insect repellent bottles, Dr. Samate says this will also serve as a useful complementary tool for the control of container inhabiting species which pose public health problems. On the donated vehicle, Dr. Samate says it will be used for transporting pregnant women in rural communities to the nearest health center for delivery.
Because we've seen too often than not that quite a number of pregnant women have challenges to get to the hospital. They wait for the husband to go and look for a taxi. They struggle to enter a taxi, so we're going to pilot using this.
He also used the occasion to reaffirm government's commitment to making access to quality and affordable health service delivery a priority and a reality for all Gambians. Ansumane Isonyasi for QTV News.
We will go with a short commercial break, and when we come back, in business news, we hear what happened to the company which started live as a site for humorous videos and grew into something much bigger. And in international news, we'll learn of the alarming rise in piracy close to our territorial waters. Join us after the break for these stories, sports news, and more.
This is good news. Q City presents the Kids Independence Concert. Celebrate Independence Day in grand style with lots of fun at the exquisite Q City complex. Come and celebrate Independence Day with your friends and family at the Q City complex Bigelow. Kids Independence Concert featuring Gambia's finest artists, Hussein Dada, Chana Dodo, Sihu Yafa. Kombonka. KS. Gorgorlu. T. And many more. Kids Independence Concert is slated for the 18th day of February 2020 from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Tickets, children, $100 and adults, $200. It's the Kids Independence Concert, 18 February, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Q City Bigelow. Let's celebrate Gambia at 55. It's gonna be fun. See you there.
Welcome back. In business news, YouTube turns 15 today. It's 15 years ago today that 3 former PayPal employees first registered the web address youtube.com. Since then, it has grown to be one of the biggest global companies. Now, over 1 billion hours of video are watched there every day. And almost every broadcaster, including QTV, now has a YouTube page in addition to its corporate website. This video looks back at a decade and a half of one of the world's most visited websites. Here's a short video about the company's remarkable rise.
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants. The cool thing about these guys is that they have really long fronts, and that's cool.
YouTube's very first video could scarcely have been simpler. During his trip to the zoo, co-founder Javed Karim had no idea what his primitive creation would become. Just a year later, he and his friends Chad Hurley and Steve Chen would be striking the deal of a lifetime.
And we just want to say thank you. Today we have some exciting news for you. We've been acquired by Google. Yeah, thanks.
For no less than $1.65 billion. Since being bought by the world's most visited website, YouTube itself has become the world's second most visited website. Yes. And it's not just Javed, Chad and Steve who it's made rich. It's created a whole new brand of celebrity. The most successful YouTubers, such as hyperactive Swede PewDiePie, make in excess of $10 million a year. Over the past 15 years, YouTube has become more than just somewhere to share videos, branching out into music and subscription services and in over 70 languages. Now YouTube is contributing $15 billion a year in ad revenue to owners Google Alphabet. If you told the founders that would be the case back in the early days, they might well have laughed.
Here's a story about adding value to Africa's cocoa beans. Ghana is the second leading producer of cocoa in the world. In fact, only the Ivory Coast produces more than double Ghana's yield. And yet Africa, which currently produces 70% of the world's cocoa, hardly produces enough chocolates to feed its citizens. The trend is gradually changing, however, with a few young people venturing into chocolate production. In Ghana, 2 sisters are adding value to Ghana's cocoa beans by producing their own brand of chocolates called 57 Chocolate. Ironically, Kimberly and Priscilla Addison returned to Ghana from Switzerland, one of the world's major chocolate-producing countries. The business is growing and already production is up to 1,000 bars a week. And now on to international news. There has been an alarming rise in piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. For much of the latter part of the 20th century and the early part of this one, modern piracy was associated with the Horn of Africa. This was particularly so off the coast of Somalia. However, in recent times, there has been a dramatic shift in where most attacks now take place. 9 out of 10 maritime incidents of piracy and kidnappings for ransom are now reported in West Africa's Gulf of Guinea, which stretches 5,700 kilometers, 3,500 miles from Senegal to Angola. The statistics are stark as the number of crew members kidnapped by pirates worldwide decreased. The number reported in the Gulf of Guinea increased from 78 in 2018 to 121 in 2019. From January to September 2019, 82% of maritime kidnappings in the world occurred in the Gulf of Guinea, according to the International Maritime Bureau. Despite claims that attempts are being made to eliminate the scourge, most of the countries in the region have inadequate navies to combat this growing threat. Refugees in Germany benefit from vocational training. Most of the recent news from Germany regarding its refugee population has concentrated on the negative. This has been even more marked following electoral gains by right-wing racist political parties. However, all is not bleak for refugees. For those whose refugee status has been clarified, the country's system of vocational training makes it much easier for them to integrate into the labor market. This, in turn, plays a major role in better social integration. One thing in the refugees' favor is that Germany has a skills shortage and thus is always looking to plug certain gaps, including in the railway sector. In the city of Hamburg, for example, refugees taken on by the railway company learn from the theoretical and practical side of engineering, as well as German, English, maths, and physics. Most of those taken on are from war zones, including Syria and Afghanistan. The many Gambian refugees in Germany will be hoping they too can benefit from such a scheme. And now on to sports. My colleague Aliu Sise is here with some sporting stories. Aliu, what do you have for us in sports?
Thank you very much, Mariatu. One of Gambia's most senior athletics coaches, Maria Masala, told QTV she is optimistic about Gina Bass's chances of winning a medal at the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo later this year. Her remarks follow Gina's triumph in the 60-meter sprint at the World Indoor Athletics Tour events in France and Germany last week. My colleague Modu Gajaga files in this report.
Although Gambia's only gold medal winner in track events at the African Games, Gina Bass, is behind Britain's Dina Asa-Smith, Mujinga Kobunji, and Britannia Brown of the USA in rankings, her former coach Mariama Sala believes in the athlete's chances. She came 6th at the World Championship in Doha 2019.
Why not? Why not? Because I can see the first 60 meters for Sally Ann is about 7:10. Her first, and Gina is 7:16. So you can see the margin. So it's not that big. So Gina is coming up. And this is the first time she's competing in 60 meters. So just to improve her stats. So that's it. So you can see she's coming up. And this is the first time the champion, who is Sally Ann Fraser, the first 60 meters is 7:10 and Gina is 7:16. So she's coming up, inshallah.
Apart from Gina, Mariama Sala also expects the Gambia's male 4x100 meters and 4x200 meters relay teams to qualify for the Games. Experienced sprinter Adama Jame and teammates Ibrahima Kamara, Aliou Diouf and Sengan Job are currently training hard at the IAAF High Performance Center in Dakar.
Definitely we want to have a lot of Ginas. That's what we want to have, and hopefully we'll have, because we believe in ourselves and we know what the athletes can do back home. So we have a lot of athletes here whom you know that they are potential, they have the potentials. And definitely we have been given that task for us to make sure that we've come up with a list of the potential athletes that we think and believe that they can make up the Olympic standard.
The Gambia has an abundance of athletes with raw talent. However, some have absconded when away representing the Gambia in international championships. This has occurred especially in Europe and the US, with athletes claiming it is due to lack of adequate support in training facilities and remuneration. An example of this was when the Gambia's most talented sprinter Jaisuma Sedindur defected to run for Norway in 2002. In the same year, Lamin Sanyang absconded during the Manchester Commonwealth Games. More recently, 2 coaches and an athlete decided to stay in Australia after the Commonwealth Games in 2018. Coach Salah says the welfare of athletes should be improved to address such occurrences.
We are appealing from the government, the Gambian government. So if they can come in and help our talented athletes back home, we have a lot of them here, whom you know that if we expose them to training camps, to training center, to Senegal, Kenya, we have long distance runners, very good ones too here. Marathon runners, we have them. Long distance runners, we have them that we can take to Kenya and pay for them. Yeah. The amount is even less than $1,500 per month. So I think the government can take it up and sponsor these athletes to go to a training camp to prepare for Olympics and other international competition and work on their allowances and the bonuses they give to athletes. Other countries, they are doing it. Why not the Gambia?
If there is one athlete who is closer to ending the long medal drought and winning a first-time Olympic gold medals for the Gambia, there is no doubt that Gina Bass could be the one. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
We are wishing Gina all the best. Well, Mariatu, that's all we have for the sports news today. Thank you.
Good luck to Gambia's own Gina Bass there. Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main stories. In local news, as commemoration of the 55th anniversary of independence approaches, we hear about the unique future of the security sector's participation. A new High Court judge and 2 members of the Public Service Commission were sworn in this week. The Insurance Association of the Gambia with Gambia's Central Bank launched the new National Harmonized Motor Vehicle Insurance Certificate. In business news, we looked back on 15 years of YouTube, from humble beginnings to a multi-billion-dollar company. And we heard about 2 sisters who are changing the chocolate market in Ghana. In international news, we heard about the alarming increase of piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. And we also heard how vocational training is helping refugees in Germany. In sports, we asked, can Gina Bass bag the Gambia's first ever Olympic medal? We heard what a top coach thinks of that. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thank you for watching.